TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. The United Nations Security Council has unanimously endorsed a condemnation of Israel's strike on a gathering of the leadership of Hamas in the Qatari capital of Doha. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledges to complete the task of eradicating the Islamist Hamas. IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir addresses the military's Southern Command as operational activities in and around Gaza City intensify. The United Nations Security Council has unanimously endorsed a condemnation of Israel's strike on a gathering of the leadership of the Islamist Hamas in the Qatari capital of Doha, which took place a couple of days ago on September 9th of 2025. The explicit endorsement of the Security Council's collective condemnation, which ironically was called for by Pakistan and Algeria, also included the United Kingdom, France, and the United States of America, with the latter claiming that the Israeli strike on Qatar does not advance Israel's or America's goals.
Unilateral bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation working very hard and bravely taking risks alongside the United States to broker peace, does not advance Israel's or America's goals. That said, it is inappropriate for any member to use this to question Israel's commitment to bringing their hostages home.
Washington's explicit support of condemning Jerusalem in a meeting on September 11th was evidently frowned upon in Israel. 24 years ago, a mere 17 days after jihadist al-Qaeda terrorists murdered almost 3,000 Americans and foreign nationals, the United Nations Security Council at the time, to include the United States, France, Britain, Russia, and China among others, unanimously passed Resolution 1373, which reaffirmed that any act of international terrorism constitutes a threat to international peace and security. Therefore, the Security Council also reaffirmed the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense and the need to combat by all means, in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations, threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts. Furthermore, another important paragraph to cite vis-à-vis Israel's legal conduct under international law relates to paragraph 2, section C, which explicitly asserts that all states shall deny safe haven to those who finance, plan, support, or commit terrorist acts, or provide safe havens, which Qatar has been facilitating for the leadership of the Islamist Hamas for over a decade now, and it has repeatedly claimed that the Obama administration had requested of it to do so. Meanwhile, during the Security Council meeting last night, Qatari Prime Minister Hamad bin Abdulrahman al-Thani insisted that his country would continue to mediate between the terror group Hamas and Israel, while claiming further that Doha reserves the right to retaliate against Israel.
The state of Qatar stresses under the leadership of its emir, may Allah protect him, that we will continue our humanitarian and diplomatic role without any hesitation in order to stop the bloodshed. At the same time, we will not condone any attack on our sovereignty. We will reserve the right to respond through tools guaranteed by international law. We call for peace, not war. Peace is our approach, and we will not be deterred by those who call for war and destruction.
In response to a long charade of anti-Israel sentiments and revisionism of history, present reality, and the principles of international law, Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Dani Danon, underscored that the strike was a message for the international community at large and terror-hosting countries in particular.
This strike sends a message that should echo across this chamber. There is no sanctuary for terrorists, not in Gaza, not in Tehran, not in Doha. There is no immunity for terrorists. And yet, here in this council, some members chose to give Hamas legitimacy, even protection. Israel will not. We will act against the leaders of terror wherever they are hiding.
Meanwhile, in the city of Ma'ale Adumim, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserted that Israel is changing the face of the Middle East.
We find ourselves at almost the 2 years mark of the war that was forced upon us on that terrible day of that same massacre and kidnappings of our hostages, most of whom we retrieved. But there remain others, and we will return them all, the fallen and living alike. But we understood, and I have said this in the second day of the war, we will change the face of the Middle East because it was clear that we are not merely fighting the murderers of Hamas. We are fighting Iran and the Iranian axis that in fact came to straggle and annihilate us. We did this step after step, step after step. When I said we did it, I mean that we did it together. It is not just me and my friends in government. It includes our heroic soldiers, the fallen soldiers, and the people of Israel who continuously stood firm. And when we struck Iran and we distanced ourselves from an existential threat against, not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of Israel's citizens and our future that is rooted in a generational dream that preceded us, and the implementation of the dreams of those who will come after us, we removed that threat.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continued by reasserting Jerusalem's uncompromising intention to complete the task of eradicating the Islamist Hamas, both its military and governing capabilities in the Gaza Strip.
We will complete the task. What had begun in Gaza will end in Gaza. We will defeat Hamas.
Earlier in the IDF's Southern Command, the Israeli military's Chief of General Staff, Eyal Zamir, addressed commanders who briefed him ahead of Operation Gideon's Chariots II, which includes a high-intensity offensive against Islamist Hamas and its terror affiliates in the Gaza Strip.
We are moving forward toward the next stages in the mission of dismantling the Hamas regime. This is our objective. We are going to bring down this regime, and nothing will stop us from accomplishing this mission. Before us stand two goals: the release of the hostages. This is a moral mission of utmost importance, critical and essential, and alongside it, the mission of dismantling Hamas. These are the missions of our generation. As I have said before, we will strike them and pursue them everywhere, in Judea and Samaria and in other places, as we did over the past 24 hours. We are closely examining the shifting balance of power in the Middle East. At the forefront of my mind, and that of the General Staff, are the objectives of the entire multi-front war. We have already been at war for nearly 2 years, and we are now in its decisive stages. We are shaping a reality that will endure for generations. That is how we must view it.
Meanwhile, throughout the Gaza Strip, IDF troops of the 162nd Division are operating on the outskirts of the Sheikh Radwan and Jabalia neighborhoods, expanding combat further into Gaza City and preventing terrorist organizations from entrenching themselves in the perimeter. According to the IDF spokesperson's unit, the troops are striking military infrastructure used for terrorist purposes, eliminating terrorists, and locating and dismantling underground tunnel routes. In tandem, IDF troops from the 401st Armored Brigade located and dismantled an explosive site in Jabalia neighborhood and a weapons storage facility on the outskirts of Gaza City. In addition to terror tunnel routes that were mapped hundreds of meters long, were dismantled on the outskirts of Gaza City as well. In parallel, the IDF spokesperson's unit noted that troops from the Givati Brigade located and dismantled dozens of terrorist infrastructure sites and numerous weapons in the area, and eliminated several terrorists, and troops from the 215th Brigade eliminated dozens of terrorists, including the platoon support commander in the Al-Furqan battalion and the head of the Nuhba terrorist squad that infiltrated Israeli territory on October 7th of 2023. In tandem, in preparation to receive the population in the southern part of the Gaza Strip and away from Gaza City for their own safety, and as part of ongoing efforts to adapt the humanitarian response in the area, the IDF is actively preparing the ground in order to increase the volume of aid entering into the designated humanitarian area. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. As ever, please keep praying for the return of the 48 hostages who've now endured 707 days in brutal Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip. Pray also for the Druze and Christian population in southern Syria, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Separately, if you're blessed by TV7 Israel News and would like to help our productions, which are exclusively donation-based, you can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.